What's up, YouTube Gen X? Okay, like I said, and I made this point to Solo a while ago. Um, and I said that this whole idea of not following black men because we're not owning or renting anything, I think is a big deflection. For years, uh, black women have talked about how we get successful and we're not choosing black women. And mind you, we weren't necessarily owning anything, especially when black women run to what athletes are doing. Well, they're not owning anything either, right? So successful black men across the board were not owning much. Um, but the knock on black men was that we weren't choosing black women and we were going off and getting, the white trophy or whatnot or whatever. Or they would say that I'm not going to cater myself to you like the white girl does or whatnot. And that was the complaint well before I was born. So it was definitely one where it was black men having an issue with black women, therefore not choosing black women. So now all of a sudden we're not following you even if you're on point because you don't own or rent anything. It's a deflection, okay? It's their way of saying, fuck that. You're not choosing me. No, nigga, I'm not choosing you. And they'll create, this standard that we're not reaching. Is it unfair? Yes and no, right? We definitely need to start owning more, but we know where black men stand in terms of employment and whatnot, right? If you want to do well, you need people to support you. So if I have my own business as a black person, who's to say that black people are going to support me? Who's to say that non-black people are going to support me, right? But with that being said, I know that we have to do a better job in that area. But they'll create this standard, and they know that, and it's not even a standard that they care about, and I'll get into that later, but they'll create the standard knowing that a lot of black men, even if they are on point, aren't going to reach. And they'll act as if we're not choosing you, and like I said before, that's all bullshit. Right? The second that these women meet that dude who has his affairs together and he actually wants to do the whole, building the black family, they're going to fucking fold. Fold, fold, fold. Seen it happen. I've been part of it. It's as simple as that. Right? I've since the time I hit 2021, I was always exposed to older women. So I know what goes on. I'm not one of these younger guys who's been insulated from what's going on. I've always been exposed to a older crowd, right? So spare me the bullshit about we're still not going to get with your program, right? That's a big ass lie, right? Um, but like I said, it's a defense mechanism, right, which helps black women feel better about themselves, right? Instead of listening to what we have to say about what we would like to see change, right, in terms of mindset, they'll throw that out because once again, how can you tell the rock of the black community, right, what to do? How can you dare critique, black women that have carried the burden of black men from the beginning of time, right? How can you dare critique them? Um, so they'll come up. Obviously you have some creative black women who have come up with this whole line of reasoning. Other men um, own and run their communities, but black men don't. And I'm like, okay, if ownership was so big on a woman's uh, scale in terms of what she finds desirable, why have you, as black women, clearly observed successful black men going off and getting with non-black women to the point where you complain about it? Why would those women choose black men if their men are owning and running, right, their communities? Why? If it was so important for women, why? Why would black men be an option? Right? And I made that, I put that question out there. I really didn't get a response. Right? I'll tell you why, though. It doesn't matter. Women are very selfish. When it comes to their happiness, women are very selfish. They care about their own lifestyle. They care about their own home. They care about, what they're driving. Can they remodel? Can they have granite countertops, right? Can they shop at upscale department stores? Can their kids go to, schools that are in great communities and school districts, which I don't have a problem with at all. But it's very personal. It's very selfish, right? And that's just the damn truth. In terms of how a guy can provide that lifestyle, that is irrelevant. Whether he has a high-paying job, whether he owns a business, whether he won the damn lottery, right? Whether his grandparents left him a fat check, right? It's irrelevant, apart from him getting it illegally. Or even with that, I'm sure that there'll be a lot of women who don't have a problem with the man who's a millionaire, who is getting his money, in semi-illegal ways, just as long as he can't get caught. You know what I mean? Just as long as the probability of the police busting through and handcuffing him and, arresting him in their upper middle class neighborhood is very low. They'd probably be cool or okay with it. So that's where women stand. Especially when we talk about fixing the black community, black men, we're talking about the actual community. Black women are talking about themselves, their own personal community. My home, the car I drive, what I'm able to do in terms of having disposable income and whatnot. That's what they care about, their lifestyle. How many black women with money, right? They're all doing so well, and many men have made this point before. How many are living in your inner cities? Come to L.A., I don't see black women living in Compton or Watts or other areas. They're trying to move off and live in Orange County. They're trying to run off and live in West L.A., Santa Monica, that area, right? They're not moving into black communities. It's all bullshit. They care about themselves, right? That's why I shot down this whole bullshit about, when black men marry outside, the black community gets weaker. Even if I was married to a black woman, and I was like, honey, we're going to move to the inner city, do you think she's going to say, that's right, honey, we're going to do that? No. She's going to say, fuck no, we're not living there. I already have a real estate agent. We're moving to this gated community because I want my kids to go to this school, which I don't blame, but then I want this lifestyle, right? I want to drive this car. I want to do this. I want to do that. I don't want to worry about people trying to rob or steal or, give me dirty looks because we have and they don't have, right? So, I'm married to a black woman, and how is our money helping the black community? Right? How is it helping the black community? The only black businesses that we're supporting are the barbershop and the girl that braids my daughter's hair. That's about it. And that's the community that black women talk about, right? Their own personal bubble. It's as simple as that. Women don't care about how that money is there. You go ahead and talk to an older black man, and I'm sure, I believe Solo touched on this, and other older black men can definitely come on and co-sign. Go ahead and talk to an older black man who, or even a man in general, who was already doing well. So maybe he had a high-paying salary. His wife was already enjoying that lifestyle, right? And he was like, I may want to start my own business. Or, me and my partner want to invest or do something of that nature. I'm going to have to take out $200K in our account. And let's see how many women, especially black women, are going to say, yeah, because you need to be an owner. They're going to say, no, we already have it. We're already good. I don't want to risk my own personal happiness, right, for the fact that you can, maybe flip that 200K into 2 million. We're already good. I don't want to mess up my safety net bubble, right? And go ahead, talk to a lot of older men, and they'll tell you, yeah, man, I got married, or my boy got married, and we had all these aspirations of owning this and that, and it was legit, but the wife said no. She didn't want to fuck up her own happiness, right? She didn't want to risk her lifestyle, right? Going back to what I said before about the women not caring, right? Or let's see how many men get disqualified or thrown away if they say, hey, I'm a millionaire and I won the lotto. What? You didn't earn it. You don't own anything. Fuck your $1,000,000. Hell no. Or, you know, I inherited my wealth, right? How many women are going to throw those men away? Not too many, right? So like I said, this is one big ass deflection. It's a coping mechanism for black women to deal with the fact that progressive, successful black men do have issues and do have problems, which are legit. They're not just about beauty and hair, but the women don't want to hear it, okay? So they're running to this defense of, well, we're not choosing you, which is bullshit. You come through as a black man who, can clearly provide, and you can say that, I do believe in the black family. They're going to fold, fold, fold. What would you like to eat, honey? Blah, 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 blah. Right? You're not coming through on that, simp ass shit. You're coming through on this, I'm trying to run this household. You're either going to get with it or you're not. Right? They're going to fold. I'm telling you, they're going to fold. A lot of them have a big bark, don't get me wrong. They're like a Saint Bernard, right? Just barking away. But they're going to fold just like when you see the little Chihuahua, right? And they're barking at you and you step up to them and they, fold. The ears go down, the tail goes in between their legs, right? And then all of a sudden they want you to pet them. You know what I mean? That's how the little Chihuahuas do. And that's what the women are. They're Chihuahuas in the bodies of Saint Bernards. That's all they are. And the other point, women don't care how a dude gets his money. They don't care how a dude's able to provide as long as it's not illegal. Okay? So this whole idea of women getting off because the dude has some big network or the dude is owning this big ass business is bullshit. Yeah, if he's doing that before, he would get points, not because of that, but because he has the money, right? But let him already be married and let him already be enjoying, and let her already be enjoying that lifestyle. And then he's like, I have to use this money to build this business and to, build my network and whatnot. Let's see what she has to say, right? When she has to deal with the fact that, there may be the opportunity, there may be the potential that he invests his money, or this probability, that he invests the money in something and it doesn't work out and their lifestyle changes. So let's see how happy she is when, you're going off and you're building your network and building your business. She's not. And like I said, talk to any older man who's ever tried and he'll tell you, once you get married, shit falls apart. So that's my vid. Y'all take it easy. God bless.